Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast. The podcast is on to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. I have dragged another episode out of the archives. It is episode 99, and the guest is a good friend of mine, Jay Henderson. Now, Jay is a performance expert. He wrote a book, and it's titled The Ultimate Guide to Hiring Superstars. And who doesn't want to hire a superstar instead of hiring a dud? And if you've ever employed anybody in the past and you think you may have made a few mistakes, or you think about employing somebody in the future, this is an episode you're going to want to listen to, take notes, and probably go back and listen to it time and time again. And if you're an employee, you might find listening to this will actually give you a few tips on to become more employable. I met Jay back in 2013 at a podiatry conference and caught up with him, each year after that. So this interview starts with me just saying hello to Jay and welcoming him to the podcast. So sit back and enjoy. So Jay, how are you doing?
Great, Tyson. How you doing?
Oh, good. It's so good to catch up with you again. We haven't seen each other for a couple of years, but I have directed a few people your way, said, if you really want to employ the right person in the right position, you need to talk to Jay. He's got this amazing knack. I'll let you describe. What is it? How do you do it? How do you help people employ the right person for the job?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for telling people about me. Well, I have a science that measures how people think and how they make decisions, as opposed to behavior. So most of the tools that people know about, they use behavior tools, and that's fine. Those are good. Nothing against them. Nothing bad to say about them.
What's an example of a behavior tool that most people may be aware of?
Yeah. So the DISC profile, or the Colby profile, or the predictive index, or the Myers-Briggs. There are many.
Are the problems with some of those profiles, if you know what they are and you understand them, you can sway the results. If you know what the person's looking for, you can actually answer it to make sure you stand out in particular areas.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the questions are, it's really clearly telegraphing what they're trying to measure. And what they want to know. But the main thing is, like, if you thought about it as a staircase of 5 steps, the human brain and the way the mind makes decisions, right? So basically, the human brain perceives what's going on around it, but it does that in their way. Like, you perceive the world your way, and I perceive it my way, right? It doesn't mean, like if you say to me, hey, Jay, look over here and notice this, it doesn't mean I can't see that. I certainly could, because you're bringing it to my attention. But if I'm left to my own view of the world, if I'm left to the way my mind works, right, I'm going to see it kind of my way. There's nuances. I'm going to see things that I would normally see. I'm going to miss things I normally would not see that you would naturally and easily. The point is, the first thing the brain does is we perceive the world around us, then we analyze that, then we make a decision. And then after the decision, we take action, right? People don't take action until they make a decision. Now, I might make a decision based on, hey, Tyson, you're my boss and you told me what to do. So I'm making a decision to do what you told me to do, right? But so the human brain, it goes through that process: perceive, analyze, decide. Then we take action once we've decided. And then we get the results based on the actions we took, which came from the thinking. So my point is, all the other tools measure after the decision has been made. They measure behavior. Right.
So they're not measuring before the decision is made.
They do not measure what is going on before the decision has been made. So they basically have to do research or interpolate why people do what they do. So they measure behavior, and they do that very well. The DISC, the Colby, the Myers-Briggs, those that I mentioned, they do that, where they do what they do very, very well. The challenge is that when you're making a candidate decision for a position in your business, you don't learn enough from those tools. You learn good stuff. There's type indicators. Anyway, you don't learn though enough. You don't learn a lot of the things that are critical in the hiring decision.
I think when I first heard you speak, and a mutual friend, Rem Jackson, I was talking to him afterwards. He said, I've used Jay to employ people. Every time I listen to Jay on I'll give a couple of candidates and he'll say, this is the person you should choose. Every time I listen to Jay, it ends up being the best person I've ever worked with. He said, one time Jay said, you should hire this person, not this one. And I decided, no, this time Jay is wrong. Jay is actually wrong. And Jay said to me, this person in 6 months' time will do this based on how you did the evaluation.
Yeah.
And Rem went, no, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to not listen to Jay this one time. And he reckons it was almost 6 months and 1 day. Exactly what you said was going to happen happened. And he just went, that's it. From now on, whatever Jay tells me to do when I put people in front of him, that's who I'm going to employ. So I thought it was amazing. So that's when I used your services, and you were absolutely spot on when I chose a person for a particular role.
Oh, thanks for that. No, this is why I do what I do, because when I found this, I was truly amazed. I was amazed by what I learned, by what this man, there was a CEO trying to hire me.
Yeah.
And I came in for my second job interview, and he asked me questions that were so in my world that, I mean, I nearly cried at one point in the interview, because he just knew me so well. And the questions he was asking me, I'm in my best suit, right? I'm in his industry. I came out.
How old were you when this happened?
I would have been, I'd have to say about 28 or 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only a couple of years ago?
A couple of years ago. So, but anyway, it amazed me. And I, well, you didn't ask, but I just want to share that at one point, so I worked for Stephen R. Covey, who wrote the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, for those who remember that book. And
I think a few people remember that book. It had a little bit of success from what I've heard.
It did pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, when I was working for Stephen, there was a gentleman who won a silver medal in the 1964 Olympics in America for swimming, and he and I were creating the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Athletes together.
All right.
And I had a passion for sports psychology, which I still study today. And, I'm really into how the mind works and how people learn and then translate that learning into performance. I mean, why are the best in the world the best in the world? And what's the connection between their mind and the way they use their body to perform in sports, especially under pressure?
And I only read that about you just recently. When I first met you, I didn't know that. I knew about the getting high performance with employers and employees, but I didn't know about the sports side of thing until just recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd read something on it might have been on your LinkedIn profile, and I went, oh, okay, I didn't know there was another whole side of you that I was totally unaware of.
Yeah. So I just love that stuff. So basically, when I left Covey, I went to this other organization, which was 5 miles away.
Yeah.
Which was training leaders and managers how to coach other people, how to coach leaders using sports psych principles. And I was like, man, I'm home. This is really, I love this stuff, right? So that's when I had to take the profile. They had it there. And anyway, that really shocked me. And that's, and then learning what I could know about people and how they perform and being able to predict performance, because those other tools we talked about, while they're awesome, they don't predict performance. They don't reveal attitude, emotional control, problem-solving ability, the quality of judgment. And those are critical elements that affect how people make decisions. And in our businesses, that's what it's all about. It's all about, if I'm going to hire someone and rely on them, I've got to understand that I can trust them. I've got to be able to rely and trust that they can perform. And so unfortunately, some problems can't be managed.
So the test that you did, the one that sort of just rocked your world, that was doing a test before the decisions were made and wasn't just testing the actions at the end. So this is the first time you came across something like that.
Yes. It's the only one like it. It's the only thing that measures the intangible of thinking, because it's a mathematical, objective measure of how people think and make decisions. And it's based on a theory, because there had to be a theory first, because we're measuring an intangible. Anyway, without getting boring and scientific about it, ultimately, this man had a theory, and he spent 40 years trying to prove, is this true? Which he finally did. And it's been validated all over the world, and it's been validated in every possible way. There's 5 types of validity studies. So anyway, it's real science. It's fun stuff to work with.
I know. And during your introduction, I mentioned the word voodoo, which that I was joking when I said that.
It's great.
And the only reason I said that was because when the person that was who was working with me, and I wanted to put into another role, and I said to her, well, I want you to talk to Jay. Jay's going to test you somehow. I don't know what he's going to do. And her feedback to me was, I don't know what he did, and I'm not sure about some of the things I had to answer, but that was a bit weird. And it made me laugh. And then when I spoke to you afterwards, and then you sort of gave me a breakdown of who she was, some of her decision-making, what roles she would be great at, what she may not be good at, it was like you had been working with her for the last 3 years like I had prior, and you just knew everything about it. It was just incredible. So this is all based on this mathematical formula.
It is. And thanks for sharing that. And that's the same experience that I had when I took it. And I'll tell you a funny story. I'm going to be a little transparent here. I hope you and your listeners don't mind. But
no, we won't mind.
When I completed the exercise, it was about maybe 4 or 5 months later that the guy who's the worldwide guru, the guy that's the genius, I had lunch with him, and we were sitting down, and he knew my profile, and he said, Jay, you could build a Fortune 500 company. In my head, right, I'm like 28, and my vision was I was going to build some big company and whatever, and my head is expanding. And he said, the problem is you would destroy it as fast as you built it.
Well, I think that happens with a lot of business owners.
Yeah. But what was really interesting about that is I thought to myself, this guy really knows me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's, knowing what I know, learning what I learned from him, I'm able to block and manage those problems that I have. If I didn't know the stuff that I learned from it, I wouldn't be able to block it and plan around it and strategize around it. But I know exactly what my issues are, and I've been able to minimize them and focus on my strengths rather than, trying to overcome blocks.
So is it sort of like how you were talking about sports psychology? It's pretty much when somebody's working in a business, whether they're the employer or employee, there's a psychology behind what they do on a day-to-day basis. And when you're doing your evaluation, it's also making sense so that I understand what my strengths and weaknesses are, being aware of my weaknesses, and knowing that, for example, I'm easily distracted. So if I'm aware of that I'm easily distracted, I just got to keep reminding myself to not put myself in a position to get distracted.
Exactly. If you know it, you can work with it, right? And you can minimize it, work around it, and impact your life significantly. And what's really interesting is this is many years ago that I learned this, and all my brothers and my parents and all my family and my wife and her family, and I've got this like living laboratory of all these people that I know. And my dad, who is older, right, and took it 20 some years ago, he's not changed at all.
Yeah.
And, this is a sharp guy. So we don't really grow out of our biases. We become more mature. We become maybe more mellow. We become more educated, but your bias doesn't really change. There's parts of it that can change that are inner type world stuff that we measure. But anyway, your primary hardwiring, we stay pretty true to ourselves.
Okay, so what you learned back, or when you first did that test when you were like 28, 29, you've changed and evolved that and come up with your own methods, or is it still the same method that you're still using?
It's the same. Access to the information is the same. that way we measure people that is really unique. What we measure is different, and the way we get at it, like your person who said that was really, I don't know about that was weird. Like the question, see, there's no questions in the whole it's an exercise. And so, but I've definitely made changes and adjusted things and worked with the worldwide guru to, and I've created profiles myself that are more relevant to the clients that I work with, but using that science.
So you're saying we're hardwired a certain way. We have certain biases that we can change or we can't change. Are you saying like some of the biases we have, we cannot change them? It's hardwired into us. It's just the way that we are, regardless of experiences, values, years in practice. That doesn't change too much.
Right. So they can change, but it takes like major life experiences, maybe even trauma, to impact the way we value and see the world. That said, so life's complex. People are complex.
Yeah.
I could never say that it would never change. That would be probably ridiculous to say a thing like that. But after so many years of doing this all day, every day, many years, people don't really. And the way I think of it is my children. So I've got 4 daughters, and they're now.
Well, you deserved it too.
Yes, I do.
Daughters are great.
They are phenomenal, and they're 18 down to 8.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting, the reason I bring this up is because I've now watched, all of them for many years, and they are the very person as they were the day they were born. My 18-year-old girl, she's not different.
Yeah.
Had training. That's the girl who was born on that day 18 years ago, And in fact, I said to my wife the day she was born, I was holding her in the hospital room, and I said, "Whoa!" And my wife said, "What?" And I said, "This girl is intense," and I just could feel it. It was wild, but yeah, she's 18. She's still intense. Anyway, so it's that's the way I think of it that way. Think of your family members, how they've kind of always been the same person. And when you think of yourself, you ask yourself the question, I'm older, smarter, more mature, more educated. How come I still do that? I don't want to, but I still do that thing, And that's the stuff that we're getting at is the real you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 2 things pop into my mind when you talk about, multiple things pop into my mind. One, it's 3 children, and they've never changed from the day they were born to now. They are still the same sort of person, which is what I love about them. And I must admit to myself, I don't think I've ever changed too much. I'm still just a really big child, just in an older body now. But the 2 things that popped into my mind was when a guy meets a girl, or a girl meets a guy, whichever way it goes, and they think that they can change the other person. And they might meet someone who's a bit wild and go, I'll be able to tame them. No. And when an employer employs somebody and they might say, they're a little bit lazy, but I think once they work with me over a period of time, they will change. Yeah. Or their communications, they don't have much of a personality when it comes to talking with people, but they will change. So sometimes, because we're talking about employment, they'll employ people and they see faults that are really obvious, but they think that they can actually change those faults. And what you're saying is if it's ingrained deep into them, that won't change.
Right. I mean, it's not going to change. But people do mind their P's and Q's at work a little more than they would at home. Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You try to be a little more professional than you might be at home. Another way to look at it is not only do they not change, using your analogy of meeting a girl or a guy, not only will it not improve, it'll probably be worse.
Yeah.
Because we're all putting our best foot forward, right? And if I'm in an interview and, so people get comfortable. Now I know here I've worked with Tyson now at his company for 3 or 4 months, and he seems to like me, and Betty seems to like me, and I'm fitting in. And then we become more and more of ourselves, the more comfortable we get, right? So in the interview, we're doing our best to put our best foot forward and all that, and good for them. I mean, I want people to, be able to work.
Yeah.
But, so you're
right.
But
it makes sense. It's the people that I'm the closest to and the friends that I've had for the longest are the people when I first met them, and over a number of years, nothing changed. So when I first met you, maybe in 2013, 2014, I think. And then I've met you in multiple locations. I think last time was in Vegas. And you've always been exactly the same person. Nothing has changed about you. And we've got other friends.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've got other. Yeah, and we have other mutual friends, and that's what I've always liked about them. They've always been the same person. Peter Wishney, who's been on this podcast, Peter, from the time you meet him, time I met him in 2012, I think it was, to now, same person. Nothing changes. So I think I'm not saying I think you're right. I know you're right, but I love how employees, they'll put on a certain image at the interview.
Yes.
So exactly. You really only see the surface. And then their true self will eventually come out. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And the word you just used is really powerful, okay? Because it's image. Because not only are they putting forth an image for you, but what we never think about is the fact that we all have our own self-image of ourselves. I guess that self-image of ourselves. Anyway, we all have a self-image, and we're all trying to live that self-image all the time. Our brains will not let us be different than who we believe we are. So I'm saying that not only do they put forth an image for a boss, but many people are living and unaware they're living a self-image that is made up. And anyway, I'm getting a little deep here.
Yeah.
But they're living a construct in their mind of who they are. But in reality, they don't know they're not that. It's deep, but
does this go back to if some people have their own business, for example, that they almost self-sabotage a business, that it never gets beyond a certain point because they have a certain image and belief of themselves that there's no way that they can actually see themselves in this big home, fancy car, nice holidays, beautiful family, just all the success. So ingrained into them is they sort of do the habits to keep themselves average when they could do so much more, but they can't actually see that. They can't see their image in their head.
That's absolutely right. I believe that 100%. Yes.
So can people change it?
The self-image?
Yeah.
People can definitely change the self-image, and you can change it just like you would take a blanket and that's one color. And if you wanted it to be a different color, you would dip it in that color and let it soak and dip and dry, and then soak it and dip it and dry. And so, over and over and over, you would dip it in there, let it, until the new color becomes, the fibers take on the new color.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, right? Yes.
And then it's almost like a reapplication, because when you wash that blanket, it slowly fades over a period of time. So if you're not re-dipping, you're not keeping the color as bright as what it can be. So
yeah, totally. I mean, our minds go based on the picture we have of the world, but our brain does not want us to be wrong, and it makes us. We operate automatically out of our own self-image, which is this we're talking about.
Yeah,
100%. Because if you don't act like you, what does that mean about you? That means you're insane. So the brain won't let that happen. We have to act in alignment with who we believe we are, which includes, as you said, what we believe we're worthy of, and it's comfort zones. Really powerful stuff. Really powerful. So yeah, we need.
Are you saying we're staying like it's? I was talking to someone recently, and we were talking about comfort zones and getting outside of the comfort zone, and you just mentioned the word comfort zone, that how we act and behave is within our comfort zone. So unless we expand the comfort zone, we will never change the way that we are.
Exactly. And think of it like a rubber band. So if you have a rubber band and you pull it apart, and let's say for those that are listening, you're pulling it apart up and down, not left to right?
Yeah.
But up and down. or north and south.
Just to point out, when you said people who are listening, anyone driving in the car right now is saying, well, I have been listening, but we're doing a video at the same time. So continue.
Thank you. Right. So, if you've got the rubber band and you're pulling it apart, and you're pulling it up and down, that rubber band, what does it want to do? What's it doing? It's stretching out and it wants to snap back.
Yes.
And so that's what we do as humans. Our mind says, hey, Jay, you're setting goals way beyond your capability. Why don't you just get back to where you belong? And the rubber band thing, that elasticity there, it wants to snap back. So my brain is telling me, so I start, and that stretching of the rubber band is like, within a human, is like a lack of comfort. It's a literal energy.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, what does that energy make you do? What's going to win? Is the rubber band going to go from the top? In other words, your goals at the top, your vision at the top. Is it going to snap back to reality where you really are now? Because that's what you know yourself to be and that's where you're comfortable? Or will your current reality snap up? Will it go back up?
Nice analogy. Yes.
To the vision.
Yeah.
And the one that wins is the one that is the most dominant in our minds and emotions.
Okay, so you're saying the snapping's going to happen regardless. It's just whether does your current reality snap up to your vision, or does your vision snap back down to your reality?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's deep too.
Yeah, it is. But that's what all the research shows, that's the way it works. So we must that's why visualization is so powerful in athletics and in any endeavor, right? It's extremely, the visualization is like dipping that blanket in that new color, and the more we do that, then the more comfortable our comfort zone expands. I think that's the word you said earlier. It actually expands, and we allow ourselves into that new world, and it's a rough dynamic actually, because if the more we're trying to get away from our current reality, then we become dissatisfied with our current reality. So we're not going to move up unless there's a level of dissatisfaction with where we are. So if you're living in a $2, $3, $4 million mansion and you're driving Rolls Royces and Bentleys, how do you get beyond that? So let me give you an example. How does Tiger Woods go from being the very best on the planet, known worldwide, respected worldwide, doing things he really shouldn't have been able to do what he's done, okay? Winning 1 out of every 3 events that he's in. It used to be that if you won 1 time a year, you were a rock star on the PGA Tour. Well, he won 1 out of every 3 events, right? So the things he did, you're not supposed to be able to kind of, the normal thinking was, you can't do that. Well, one day I said to my wife, because now he became a billionaire, right? So mastered this game, overcame everything, top of the world, more money than he could spend, wrote a check for $22 million for a yacht. Okay, my brother was a junior golfer. He was number 1 in America, and he toured against Tiger. And my brother and Tiger used to play each other in one-on-one match play events. And Tiger's older brother and I walked around, followed those guys, watching them together. It was really fun. But the point is, my brother didn't make the tour, but he played some tour golf. But Tiger he blew up, right? He just became the greatest. Well, one day I said to my wife, I don't know how many years into Tiger, I just said, Amanda, I don't know what's going to happen with Tiger. I don't know how anyone can have that level of dominance and success and wealth and celebrity and fame and not just blow up.
Yeah.
Because, I'm thinking about this concept of the self-conscious, the subconscious, and our vision of ourselves. And then it wasn't too long after that he did blow up. There was a big problem. I don't know why, but was there a self-sabotage in there? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. You're a doctor. Anyway, I'm going really deep with it, but that's just a good example of the way it works,
Yeah, no, that's fine. So what I would do is go back to when we were talking about you're employing people. So everything you've spoken about, when somebody is employing another podiatrist, for example, or they're employing someone who is going to play an important role in their podiatry practice, are there certain things that they should be looking out for? Yeah, if they said, "Oh, I don't need to contact Jay because I've employed heaps of people before," and sometimes going, "How did that work out for you?" And sometimes they do hire superstars. I know a couple of people who have employed other podiatrists, and I know both the people, and I know that they're going to be a really good fit, just based because I know both the people.
Yeah.
So, are there any tips or some ideas that people can just use themselves if they want to hire more superstars than duds?
Yeah. So the first thing you want to do is take the time to really think through exactly what you're looking for. I mean, be maniacally specific, because here we're talking about the brain. The more specific you can be in your thinking, the more your mind will help you. People use their gut instincts, their intuition when they're hiring, they use their feelings. Well, I've got advice about that. If your gut instincts tell you definitely hire this person, don't listen to that.
I do remember you saying that once.
Yeah.
But did you say it works in reverse though? If your gut's telling you to get rid of them, listen.
Yeah. So I'm not saying don't hire them. I'm just saying don't fall for that 100%. But if your gut says don't do it, then follow that. But without getting into why all that works, that's just a good thing to do. But the first thing you should do is really get super clear about exactly what you're looking for with that crazy maniacal specificity, so that you're telling your subconscious what gut instincts to pay attention to, right? So that's the first thing you do. You do that for every role. And if you want, if the listeners would like, I've got a template that can help you do that for every role you have.
Oh, definitely. If you can pass that on, I can add it to the show notes. Sure. But also, before we go any further, before we talk about this, if people want to reach out to you and say, "Oh, this Jay guy sounds pretty intelligent," and he must be, because we know each other. We're friends. I only hang around intelligent people.
That's right.
What's the best way of getting hold of you? How can they reach out to you, and where can they find you?
Yes, I have a website. It's called realtalenthiring.com.
Yep.
And they can find me there. There's actually another website that I have that people can try the exercise if they'd like, and that's called myriskfreetrial.com. myriskfreetrial.com. And they can go there and sort of learn a little bit more about it, and they can invest in a trial, which if they thought was a complete waste of their time, I'll give their money back, because I like long-term clients, not just making sales.
So you're saying they do the test to find out about themselves, or they get an employee that they think of hiring to do the test, and you get the results from that?
I recommend actually that they have someone on their team who they already know, and use it as a trial.
Yeah.
Like you did, use it as a trial experience so that you can rely, you can trust it. In other words, hey, Jay's blowing smoke and I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Because if you do it with a candidate, then, you don't know that candidate. So you can't compare. I'm looking for you to get a face validity experience. But so anyway, those are some ways that people can reach me. And if you want some of these things I'm talking about to get this checklist, people can email me at j@realtalenthiring.com, and just put in the subject line, perfect gift.
Ooh,
let's call it that.
Perfect gift.
And then I'll know exactly what it is that they're looking for, because I've got another thing that I can give them as well, which is the second thing I would do if they're interviewing, if you'd like me to share.
Yes, please do.
Cool. So the first thing you want to do is just make sure that you check, you delineate by using this template exactly what you're looking for. What's really neat is that what you do then is you take that checklist and you can turn it into almost like an assessment, because when you're in the interview, you can have that criteria right in front of you, and you can score the person in the interview against the checklist you came up with at the very start to identify. So you're building your own job profile, so to speak. And it goes way deeper than just duties and responsibilities. We all already know what the duties are. Hopefully we know what the duties and responsibilities are. So it goes deeper than that. But then you take that checklist, that template, and you turn it into a way to assess people so that, let's say you have 2 or 3 other people in your firm or practice that you would like to also interview your candidate. Well, you can just say, here's my criteria for this role. And you can be collecting criteria from your other team members, because the worst thing we can do for our good people is hire the wrong person. So they care as much as you do, right? So you can get them involved. So that's another thing that if people want, just again, perfect gift. And then I'll email that back to them, and they can get that stuff. So,
and I'll just point out to people before you go any further too, that Jay is not one of those people that, if you give him your email address, next thing you're going to get an email every day, or sometimes you won't get an email 3 times a day, every day for the rest of your life.
Right.
He's not a stalker. You are probably one of the most honest people I've ever met in my life. So
that's kind of you to say.
So I just want people to feel comfortable when they give you their email address.
Yeah, no, great. I understand. And you were wrong about one thing. I am a little crazy.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't say you weren't crazy. I just said you're super honest and trustworthy.
So no, I would love to be helpful, and those templates can be helpful. But so we're back to do the job, criteria, build that out, and then use that for surveying so that you have a powerful way to interview people. Also, you use that as a way to build your job ad, because there's a right way to write your ad that attracts the very person you're looking for. See? So the first step becomes very foundational, because then when you write your job ad, it should be aligned, right, and connected. So that then when you write the ad, you want to write to the person that you're looking for. You don't want to just write a job ad and have 4 million people respond, and you got to go through these resumes and what have you that are irrelevant. Yeah. So you write to the person that you're looking for. So it really, just that one first step helps you in the writing of it, helps you screening, helps you interviewing. So those are some things that can be really helpful.
It sounds like almost like when you're doing your marketing and you're talking about who is your ideal client. And I've been doing this group coaching, how to reboot your podiatry business. And we've spoken a lot about your ideal client, your ideal patient.
That's right.
And when I've told people, get really specific on who you want. And then sometimes people say, I want, a male or female between the ages of 25 and 50. I'm going, that's too broad. Okay, you don't talk to a 25-year-old male the same way you would talk to a 50-year-old female. So you're saying with your ad, when you're doing it, you're going to be very specific on who you're talking to and who it is that you want in your business. You don't just say, receptionist required. Yeah. And then you wonder why you get 100 applications and you go through all 100 and you go, my God. And there's that many. The good one can sort of fall through the cracks because you just read your 35th resume and you're tired.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So you're exactly right. You are marketing.
Yeah.
You're marketing for the right person. You're just like you're marketing for a patient, you're marketing for an employee. So, which by the way reminds me, put a page on your website that is a careers page that people can come and there's almost like marketing to come and get these jobs. And you can even put pictures of your good employees with a little caption and a little testimonial, what they like about working in your practice. So anyway, there's lots of...
No, but I've heard somebody else say that too, that you should always be in recruitment mode. Always. Just always looking at recruitment. You may not need the person right now, but as long as you've made contact with them and then you maintain that contact, could be a couple of years down the track, you could ask that person, hey, you ready to come and work with us?
Absolutely. Always be recruiting. That is exactly right. Because you never know who's going to walk through the door, right? And if you have one person, they say the worst number in business is the number one. Well, we have a practice. We might not have a huge practice. If we've got one person in one role and you lose them,
you're done.
Now you're done, right? So yes, always be open and always be marketing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that, it's like a military term, isn't it? 1 equals none, 2 equals 1.
Yes. Yes. I didn't even think of that till you said it. That's right.
Yeah. So it's like, and it's their backup. That's why they may have their main weapon on them, but they've always got the backup weapon, because if that fails, they're buggered. They need to have, so 2 equals 1.
That's great. I love that.
I have seen businesses where, even my brother, he had a dental business, a dental practice, and his practice manager that was working there, he's just bitch and complain about her constantly. He'd go, I'd walk in and say, have you done this yet? And she's there reading the paper. I haven't had time. And I go, my God. I go, how do you put up with this? He said, if she left tomorrow, I would be stuffed. He was so reliant on that one person. And it almost drove him insane.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, you need to bring in somebody else. You need other people that know some of these tasks. So if she leaves, because what she was doing, she was almost like holding a gun to his head, saying, I want another pay rise. And he just kept giving it to her and just kept giving it to her. So before we wrap up, Jay, one final tip. People listening to this, other than, I honestly believe if you're employing someone in a key role in your business, they should contact you. That's the tip I'm giving. Have you got one other tip that we can finish up on?
Well, I would just say, it's really important that you value yourself a lot. And the reason that I say that is because it might sound like a weak sort of tip, but if you don't really value yourself, then you won't take the steps we're talking about. You know what I mean? You don't do the things that you could do for yourself to set yourself up for a better business, a better exit, a better enjoyable day, or what have you. Value, give yourself the gift of taking care of those kinds of things by valuing yourself. And then you'll be grateful to yourself that you did that. So that's just what was on my mind when you were talking about that last part.
The reason I asked that question is I don't prompt anyone. I don't tell anyone beforehand, I'm going to ask you a question, then what's one final tip? And sometimes people have this big, long pause, and I'll say, that's fine. It's if you need to think about it, think about it. But it's really just, I know that people are listening to this, or if they're watching the video, I just want them to just think about everything we've spoken about. And I really took on board what you said about how we think about ourselves is a big reflection on how we run our podiatry practices. It's a reflection on the success we're going to have, reflection on who we employ. I've seen podiatry clinics that have really bad clinics, or poorly run clinics. I wouldn't say bad's the right word. And I look at all the people that they employ, and they really fit the business. They're poor performers as associates. They have receptionists that don't do a job very well. So it's a perfect fit. So until we lift our own way of seeing ourselves, it's hard to get other people to want to jump on board and become part of our team.
Yeah. And the main thing of it is, you need to tell yourself, here's the main tip. I will not hire subpar candidates. I will never hire So raise your value of yourself so that you can allow yourself to make great hiring decisions. Don't tell yourself a story like there's no people available. I've run ads and I just can't find anybody. There are good people out there, and you can find them. And the biggest CEOs in the world, they tell their executive teams and their mid-level managers, better to make no hiring decision than to hire wrong people.
Oh, big time. That is a perfect way to finish. So, Jay, thank you very much for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast. You are officially a legend who's not a podiatrist, but I knew that before you came on.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I enjoyed it a great deal. It's great to see you again.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Jay Henderson, one that I've dragged out from the archives. And I want to leave you with one final thought before I wrap up. As podiatrists and business owners, we often spend a lot of time thinking about marketing, patient numbers, treatment options, equipment, revenue, the usual things. And they're all important, but none of those things will have as much impact on your business as the people you choose to bring into your business. The right employee can make your day so much easier. It can improve the patient experience, strengthen your culture, and help your business grow faster than you ever thought possible. But the wrong employee can do the exact opposite. And one thing Jay said that really resonated with me, that he said right towards the end of our conversation, And that was, it's often better to make no hiring decision than make the wrong hiring decision. And I know from personal experience that when you're busy, you're stressed out a little bit, you're desperate for help, that it can be difficult advice to follow, thinking do not employ someone. But time and time again, I've seen clinic owners get themselves into trouble because they've lowered their standards simply to fill a position, especially when they're looking for a podiatrist. Just because you put a hat on a podiatrist doesn't mean they're going to fit in with your business. And trying to build your business around someone that doesn't actually fit in can cause so many headaches. So just try not to do it. And what it is, you just need to know what you're looking for. Be very specific, be patient, and most importantly, believe that your business deserves great people. I think you're much better to stay working for yourself. Put your fees up, reduce some of your patient load until you find the right person. And I think there was also a deeper message in today's conversation. The quality of the people we attract is often connected to how we actually see ourselves as leaders. If we want exceptional team members, we need to create an exceptional workplace. And if we want people to buy into our vision, where we're seeing our business go in the future, we need to have a vision that is actually worth buying into. So take a moment this week and ask yourself a simple question. Am I building the sort of business that great people would be excited to join? If the answer is yes, then please just keep doing what you're doing and actually share what you're doing with your podiatry friends. If the answer is no though, perhaps there's real work that needs to be done. If you'd like help building a stronger podiatry business, developing your leadership skills, maybe improving your systems, or creating a team that can help you take your clinic to the next level where you think it should be, please head over to my website, tysonfranklin.com, have a read through my coaching section. If I sound like someone that you would like to work with, please reach out to me and let's have a conversation. If I'm not the person you want to talk to, please go and talk to somebody else, especially if you know that you need help. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.